And it's mental health is a real thing, and it's good to be kind to others because you don't know what they're going through. When I was in college, my was my sophomore year. Every athlete goes through a season where they're just injured, and I was constantly getting injured. And one of the injuries, I had to get an MRI because at first people said, "Oh, Al, you're just being a baby about it." I got an MRI and it said that I needed surgery immediately. The doctor said. One of the trainers, Dave McCunin, he's wrapping my knee up. He says, I always knew that you were tough, but you just couldn't because you're injured. There's a difference between being hurt and injured. When you're hurt, you can push through. When you're injured, you just can't, even though you want to. I don't judge someone because they can't. Okay, no human being with desires and need will willfully sit and just do nothing. No human being would do that. That's a prison, worse than prison, because even people in prison, they're active. But to not do is it's hell in itself. And once again, when I was in college, the coach will always say, there's a difference between being hurt and injured. Don't judge that person because they can't get out of bed in the morning. Don't just, call them lazy and laugh at them. That person could be suffering from extreme depression and they just can't. I'll never forget that the trainer said, I always knew, Al, you weren't, weak. You just couldn't. After looking at the MRI, you can't. Even if you try, you can't. So be kind to others. If you tell someone something and they lack the comprehension skills to pick it up, don't get frustrated with them. Don't laugh at them if they pronounce words wrong. Not everyone's lazy. Some people have severe mental illnesses. And in my journey, when I was in college, I was an animal in the sense of I was such an animal. I said to myself, I'll never work a 9 to 5. I was an animal, and I achieved it. I achieved it. Why? Because I was given multiple NFL contracts, and at that particular point in time, I'm not going to talk spiritual. I was plagued with a mental illness, and I did the impossible. I dropped out of college my 5th year, threw away the NFL, and I've been suffering from mental illness ever since. Mental illness is real. No human being will willfully choose to sit and do nothing. That's torture. Instead of mocking someone, instead of attacking them, saying he's lazy or she's lazy, say, wow, I wouldn't want to torture myself the way that person's torturing himself. What do you mean by that? They're not doing anything. They're not trying. There's something going on in that individual's mind that's delaying them. That's prison without prison. That's punishment. When you live, when you interact, when you work and earn, that gives you life. Why do you think that there are 80-year-old men that refuse to not work? They refuse to retire because idolism will kill you quicker than anything. So instead of shaming someone, attacking someone, you have to understand no human, no living creature in this world will willfully choose to do nothing. That in itself is torture. You cannot go to someone who suffers from schizophrenia. You cannot go to someone who suffers from severe depression, anxiety, paranoia, and tell them that you're being lazy or tell them that you're overreacting. Have kindness towards people. Don't make fun of people. When I was little, I used to always get in trouble because my motor skills were slow. I lacked comprehension. I was always confused, and I would get yelled at a lot because my father would say, go grab that, and point in a direction, I'm confused and I'll grab the wrong thing and I'll get hit, yelled at. So try to have compassion on others. Don't say, oh, that person's doing nothing with his life. What a bum. Say, I feel sorry for that person because there's something going on in his or her mind that is debilitating them. No human being will willfully sit and do nothing unless there's something stopping them. With mental illness, you can't see what's stopping them. There's people in wheelchairs that are not mentally ill. They're more active than the able body that's suffering from depression. What's wrong with you? That person's in a wheelchair. Look what they're doing. You have no excuse. So then what happens is you have no compassion for that person that's mentally debilitated. There's certain psychedelics that can induce schizophrenia and depression. Some of you people should try it and you'll see what it feels like. Only good thing about taking certain psychedelics is that you'll get back to normal. Instead of attacking someone, saying they're lazy, saying they're a bum, you should say, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. No human being will willfully sit and do nothing. There is a reward when you go out and live. Even when you work a job you don't like, you get rewarded because you get to relax after you work. I wasn't going to get spiritual, but in the Bible, King Solomon said there's no greater rest than a workman's rest. Even if you hate your job, you get rewarded, you get to rest. You receive for what you do. It feels good to do and then receive something, but when you don't do anything, that's the punishment in itself. So be compassionate and kind toward others and just think. No human being in this world full of needs, wants, desires, and ego will willfully sit and do nothing unless there is a debilitating factor that we can't see with our eyes. And that debilitating factor in which we can't see is mental illness. Try not to judge others and be kind. You never know what they're going through.